Sitting outside as usual.
You're alive. Where are they? Let me go tell them.
Everyone advanced. Well, they have to be transferred. Because it depends on us. Because it depends on us. So he was 8 years old when you. February 23rd, if I can see it. It's his birthday. If you want to. Jesus. Sister sitting next to her.
towards tomorrow, knowing this will live above the world and all its sorrows. I have prayed for all my life that we would be together. Serving God together seems so right. Oh, yes, it's true. He has chosen before you. Take my hand and we'll agree that He has chosen you. Then I like to think about the day He saved me, all the love that He bestowed, and all the gifts He gave me. With all this I praise God's name for putting us together. He knew we'd be together from the start. Oh, yes, it's true. He has chosen before you. Take my hand and we'll agree that He has chosen you for me. Take my hand and we'll agree that He has chosen
Good morning, everyone. Welcome here today as we celebrate the life of Mary. And on behalf of our pastor over at St. Francis of Grady, Father condolences for our parents, family, lost you, and Deacon Dantes and one of the deacons are signed over there. And it's with a heavy heart that I'm here, but it's a joy to have been close to this wonderful children and parents. Day of celebration. So we recall some of the words that Jesus said, "Up to me, all you who labor, heavy burden, I will give you rest. Take up my yoke, learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for your soul. It's my yoke is easy, my burden is light." Mindful that our Lord always shares our joys and suffering. We call upon God of compassion, Father of mercies, as we pray. Lord our God, the death of our brother Terry recalls our human condition, the brevity of our lives on earth. For those who believe in your love, death is not the end, nor does it destroy the bonds that you forged in our lives. We share the faith of your Son's disciples, the hope of the children of God. Bring the light of Christ's resurrection, this time of testing and pain, as we pray for Terry and for those who love him. Through Christ our Lord. I'm going to introduce Bill and Becky.
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank Dave Weissman Can't hear me, they say. Okay. Want to thank Dave. That was beautiful. I look forward to more. He is a dear friend of Terry and Mary's from Lansing, Michigan. So he's a long way from home, as we are. We're also from Michigan. Get my little notes here. I also want to make sure you all know this, but Terry would want me to tell you how much he loves every single one of you and how much it means to him that you're here to support Mary. And I know that it does because he told us so before. Because we came up just a couple months ago and said, well, this is it. You know, we want to see you now. And he said, well, he told us how important it was for us to be here now. So we're here now. We love you, Terry. And I also want to say that we have a group in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that hopefully we're connected. We've had quite a time getting connected this morning, but we have a group in Wisconsin that's with us, family, and we love you guys too. So that's great. Great family, great friends. Besides God, what more could you ask for? Okay. Go ahead. You're ready. Yeah.
In case you don't know, that was Becky and I'm Bill. I'd like to talk to you today about what it's like to have a real friend, a true friend. Many in life, there's very few people that can share our heart, our love, and our comfort, and our disappointments, and our fears, and we can be open and honest with, and say things that will never be taken out of context, or we can say anything we want, we can do anything we want, we can go in their home and help ourselves to whatever they have, because they freely give, and we can share everything. And Terry was that person for me, as a very close friend, and I'd like to tell you how I met him. I was looking for a car, and I needed a car that would transport people, so I was looking for a station wagon. And Terry was a car salesman in Grand Blanc, Michigan. It was around 1980, and I needed a car. I wanted a used car. I had a family car that could carry me and my wife and my 3 kids, but I wanted a bigger car to transport people, and so I was looking for a station wagon. And so I was bargain shopping. I went to a couple of dealerships, and I met Terry, who was a car salesman. And I bought the car from Terry, not because I liked the car better than the other ones I was looking at, but I liked Terry. And when I met him, this big personality, this big guy with a big personality, I said, I'd like to have this man in my life. Very few times do we meet people for one time or two, an ordeal like buying a car, that we say, because I've bought lots of cars in my life. I'm 70 years old, and so I bought a lot of cars in my time. But you meet a car salesman, and you bring him into your life, and you introduce him to your family. And that's how I met Terry, and the friendship just grew. Now, I had a script written. I had a script written that I threw away, because I really don't want to. I have some notes here, but I like to ad-lib, and I like to speak from my heart. And talking about Terry, how do you condense a lifetime of friendship in a short period of time, because I can talk to you forever about all the experiences I had with Terry, but I think that I'm going to quote some proverbs that when I read, in case you don't know, I'm a minister, so if I get to preach, my wife's going to kick me. So I don't want to go there today, but I told her to do that. Usually I tell her not to do that. But anyway, so there's this proverb that says, a man that has friends must show himself friendly. And there's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. When I think of Terry and the things we shared and the times we laughed and we had great times, and you have a real friend when we can weep together. And that was my friend. I said, what was nice was Barry waited so long to do this, and I thought I could compose myself. But I don't think I'll be able to. But anyway, there's a hole in my life now, and with Terry being gone. But so I'm grateful that we have a friend. I have a friend who's closer than a brother, and so the things we would share, and the times we spent together. All the memories. I can't even begin to tell you. But I'll share a few things. And of course, I met Terry, and of course we would be friends because we're so much alike. I mean, we're exactly alike. Does anybody remember there was a movie a few years back called Twins? Okay, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. And so that's me and Terry. Terry was this tall, clean-shaven, full head of thick hair, and I'm a little short, stubby guy with a beard and no hair. And anyway, so it was only natural that we would be friends. So we were so alike. Let me tell you a few other things about him. But that being said, we realize that it's not the outward appearance of people, but it's the heart. It's the heart of people that really touch us. And that's what touched me with Terry, was his heart. We were, personality-wise, we were just so much alike. Terry was an extrovert, very outgoing and talkative. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm an introvert. I'm very quiet and reserved. I don't talk. I don't go up to people and talk to them the way Terry did. So I met a lot of people just because I was with Terry, which was a great experience. But it's not how much you talk or what type of personality you are. It's the content of what we say that really matters. And that's what was important to me. Terry had a lot to say. He had a lot of wisdom to share. And I'm truly grateful of all that. Another way, of course, we were really alike was our form of recreation and what we like to do. The things we enjoyed in life, in this life. Terry was a guy who he liked golf. If he had a place to go, he would prefer a 5-star resort with all the amenities and lots of people. That would be Terry. He would just want the best cuisine, but I won't go there. But anyway, that's what he liked. Now, me on the other hand, I'm at home in snowshoes and hiking boots, far away from civilization as I could be. A cabin in the woods with a wood stove and no amenities. Don't put my hand on the button. Okay. You learned something. So, anyway, what we realize in life, when we enjoy this earth and the things of this earth and the blessings that God has blessed us with, no matter what we do and what we enjoy in life, it's the enjoyment of God's blessing that makes us who we really are. And that's another base material that I really like. Now, let me tell you, I'm going to talk about something here that you're never supposed to talk about. Politics and religion. So, politically, another difference between Terry and I was Terry had this big booming voice. You know, he had a big voice. And I mean, he didn't need a microphone. I do. I have a voice that if this microphone gets too far away, no one will hear me. But politically, Terry would lean more towards the left, I would say, and I would lean more towards the right. But you know, when we have these discussions, we'd say anything, and we'd always come to the same conclusion. The real issue is not left or right politics. It's really a moral and a spiritual issue that divides people. It divides people. We really need to look at what the real issues are. It's not what political camp is. It's the relationship with people. We really want to live. We want to include them. And we could always come to that agreement, no matter what. Terry and I have a lot of disagreements on a lot of things. We can always work on this. But we understood why. I have a story to tell. A story about the time I was at Terry's and Becky and I were there. We were talking and we were having a spiritual conversation, and a bunch of young kids came in from Catholic high school, and we were talking. They came into our conversation. We started to talk, maybe to ask questions. They would ask me and they would ask Terry, and then give answers. Early on, Terry said to these young people, he said, Bill is the other Tom. So I knew what he meant. I knew what he meant. And so we had this nice conversation. And I want to tell you that we're the same. We have faith in the same God. We believe in the same Jesus. And that's that's the real issue. That's what made Terry my friend. Belief in God, his trust in God, his faith in God. Because that's hard. That's why Terry is so important to me. We trust. We shared, we talked, we prepared. Why do we do that? Say why. It's a wonderful thing to have someone to talk to. And that not be judgmental, but critical. For any reason, to understand each other. To know that we have the same type of love. So that's my relationship with Terry, true friend of us. Other things here. There's another proverb that says, faithful are the rules.
When does somebody say anything to you? Say that to Terry, say that. What do you tell me about it? Talk about things, we do that sometimes we say things that might be painful. It's for the benefit of there's another proverb on it's oil and perfume rejoice the heart, so does the sweetness of a man's friend by heart and counsel. I remember one time I was talking to Terry. Everything in my life was going on financially. My kids came and we were going through some issues. You still nobody's sick. I said, wonderful. Which I did. And I remember that also. I remember that so much. We follow Terry everywhere. St. John. We were all. Did everybody hear me? Nobody. So anyway, we followed him everywhere we went, and we enjoyed his company, his presence. He watched my children grow up. He was very good at spoiling children. That up until passing. So that's another thing to have a true friend. There's a law. It's unconditional. No matter what I did or what I went through, or what he did or what he went through,
We love each other. There, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, so that's my my story, some of the stories of Terry. Of course, as we progressed on in our relationship with Terry, he introduced us to Mary. Now, when we get married, we marry the whole family. So when you have a friend that you love and you respect and care for, you begin to develop a relationship with the whole family. And Terry being a praying man and me being a praying man, we always prayed for each other. And then Terry would occasionally say some names. Let me tell you these names, maybe you know. Thad, Tate, Tina, Carly, Celia, Zara. Well, Zara's going to do it, and I won't. One thing I've learned about getting old is something gets better with age. Your forgetter gets better. So you got anybody who's young yet can look forward to something getting better. It's your forgetter. So they brought them into my family, and we began to share, and I began to care. Now, Lydia and Rob and their family have been many prayers because I love Terry and I love the people he loves and are his family, not you're his family. So I've said prayers for every one of you. I want you to know that. And Terry, in wisdom, and most of us who deal with people, they know what to reveal and what to conceal. So that's part of wisdom in life, what we reveal and what we conceal. A lot of things we keep, and a lot of things we share. Be wise. That's communication. How do you communicate with people? Because that's what makes us human beings. We're all different. You know, so we look around, we're all look a little different. We're all different sizes. And we all have different things we can share and care and love each other for. Terry was that person to me that I could always go to. I could always talk to him. I could be open and honest. I could tell him that I loved him. And now, certain events I remember in my life was, when I was real young, before I met Terry, I grew up on a diet of high-performance automobiles. So I bought automobiles. I had a decent job where I could afford to waste my money on high-performance cars. Well, I drove all these cars before I knew Terry. And later on, he was a car student when he had a Corvette, a yellow Corvette. I don't know if you guys know engines, but it was 427, 435 horsepower Corvette. And he said, let's go for a ride. I said, okay. So I got in the car with him, and I think we took my daughter with me, and we went for a ride, and Terry drove it. And then we got back, he said, here, want to take it for a spin? So I said, well, I got 2 boys. So we took back in those days, you didn't have to wear a seatbelt, you could sit wherever you wanted to, no laws. It was a very dangerous time. So I took my 2 boys, and this was years after I stopped driving these high-performance cars. So I took this Corvette out. It was really fast. It was stick shift, My joke was, when I was growing up, was I never learned how to drive an automatic. So I loved the stick shift, but he gave me this car. I took it out with my 2 sons, and I scared myself. So I never had this desire to drive fast again, and it's Terry's fault, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm sure my wife is. She can tell you some horror stories. But it's Terry who brought that to me. But I want to tell you this. When we can love somebody and trust somebody and believe in somebody, a friend we can always go to, that was Terry. And I don't think Terry met anybody who wasn't his friend, And I'm thankful for that, because he's really been a great influence on me. But one thing, the last time we came to visit Terry and Mary was in November. And I spent hours every day talking to Terry. It was a great time, great sharing experience. We shared our faith. We get to talk about the thing. And Terry said, I'm spending my time now, the greatest time in my life, spending my time praying and reading my Bible. Now, my advice to everybody is that pray and read your Bible. But Terry, we talked about a lot of things, like I said. And I think Terry wanted me to share something. And he didn't tell me how to share it. So I'll have to share it in my way. And I want to share it with everyone. So this is how I'm going to do it. I want everybody in here to think of my brother Ray. You know my brother Ray, my younger brother Ray? I see, nobody knows my brother Ray. Well, I can bring you some pictures and show you Ray. And you would probably know what he looks like. And I can tell you some stories about Ray, and so you would know some stories about Ray. But But unless you meet him and talk to him and communicate with him, you'll never know him. This is the problem most people have with God. They hear stories. They act like he's not there. And they go through life missing the most important thing in life. Because you can't know God unless you talk to him, unless you believe him. First you have to believe that he is. And I think Terry would want us all to realize that it's not just knowing about God, it's knowing him. Knowing him. And that's what I think he would want us to know. If we don't really know God, get to know God. Talk to him. Read his word. Get to know him personally. Because in Ecclesiastes, there's a scripture I read all the time, it says this: fear God, which means revere God, have reverence for God, and keep his commandments, because this is the whole duty of man. This is all we're here for. To get to know, we were created to know God, to have this relationship with God. And today I want to say I'm so thankful that Terry had that relationship with God. And I'm going to stop here. I want to let my wife take over, but I want to say this. When I left Terry, I hugged Terry. I told him I loved him. And the last thing I said was, until we meet again. And that's my hope. So until we meet again, Terry, God be with you. Becky's going to say.
Being left-handed, I guess, makes me left-brained, and I gotta be on the left side. Okay. I'm gonna read a letter that was written to Terry several months before he passed away. It was written by my daughter, Jennifer. She and my granddaughter are sitting over there, from Michigan also. And she wanted to send this letter to Terry. Of course, didn't want it to be offensive, didn't want it to be this, that. So we listened to it. And if I was going to write something about Terry, it was all in this letter. In a nutshell, it was Terry, which is he was talking, their presentations were not even together at all. So things he said, I'd say, that's in the letter. So let me read the letter. And Terry read this letter, is the best part. Dear Terry, I need to tell you how very much I love you, and while the depth of my love for you will be tough to articulate with words, I'm going to try. I doubt my ability to convey how truly grateful I am. Oh, I doubt my ability to convey how truly grateful I am to be a part of your life. To my family, you are the person described in Proverbs 18:24, a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. You have been someone to laugh with and a person to cry on. In my life, I have known very few people that have loved Rebecca and me unconditionally. Consistent, loyal, unwavering love is such a gift. A gift you have freely shared with so many without expectation. How fortunate we are to be recipients of such a love. As I try to resolve myself to knowing you will not be with us long, in candor, I share my hatred for death. I blatantly despise it. It is the only thing I truly question God about. I do, however, get peace and comfort from the following scriptures that encourage me to look at the bigger picture. As for man, his days are as grass, as a flower of the field, so he flourishes. For the wind passes over it, and it is gone, and the place thereof shall it no more. The place where it was shall know it no more. Psalms 103, 15 through 16. This makes me think of how exciting it is in the spring. We take for granted the grass reappearing and the flowers that will again bloom. I envision heaven as the season of spring, where we are reseated and reacquainted with flowers of seasons past. And also, whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even as a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. James 4:14. So I think of a vapor. Poof. Gone. I often try to envision a vapor and wonder, would we even be able to recognize if one vapor is bigger or longer than another? Will your vapor appear longer than mine or mine than yours? Probably not. So while some people live longer here on Earth, our life span is really quite insignificant compared to eternity. I take great comfort in knowing that I will be able to share unconditional love in heaven forever without even the concept of death. I'm going to share with you just a few memories I will cherish while living out my very own vapor here on Earth. Lovingly know that we will fondly reminisce your profound presence in our lives through love, Kmart bags, the largest Kmart bags, full of candy with an 8-pack of Coke and of course cash for Christmas and Easter. FYI. With resistance from us, my mom used to take most of that candy to the car lots to share. We did, however, always get to keep the cash. Joy, your sincere delight in my successes and Rebecca's. Coco, your yippy dog that only loved you. My first ride in a Corvette. I sat on the floor at my dad's feet while you motored us through town. It was loud. I was petrified. Peace. Your calm, consistent nature whenever things broke, spilled, or went wrong. I remember spilling my drink of dinner with you one time. You did not flinch and simply said, clean it up. It ran on the floor, all over the table, and you just went on with dinner like normal. Popcorn that literally dripped butter. Someone was talking about that yesterday. About, which bowl was Terry's popcorn bowl, because the next morning in the sink was hardened cold butter, about an inch, with popcorn kernels in it, leftover butter, an inch. And that's the truth. Any dollar that is not made out of paper, and I know every little child, big child, young adult child, children he didn't know, anybody, I cannot imagine the money he gave away, because he gave them. I mean, my grandchildren would come up to even know him, and every time he saw him, he'd give them a silver dollar or a $2 bill, or unbelievable generosity. Unbelievable. Caramel corn from Cakes of Lumen in Lansing. And you're all gonna probably have something on this one. Endless garage sale finds. The aroma of those good cigars. Your big, boisterous, genuine laughter. The inevitable feeling that your ordered meal might go back and might find its way back to the kitchen. I'm sure you've all experienced that. Okay. While praying for you to live forever, or at least until Rebecca's graduation. I realize my selfishness. I have really started to pray for what is best in God's eyes for Mary and for all of us that love you. My prayer, Terry, is for God's will in your life and for your suffering to cease. I am distraught at the thought of you suffering, but I rejoice and even envy a bit the thought of you walking alongside our precious Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I look forward to knowing my beloved Terry Healy in heaven for eternity. And I will see you in that spring that I talked about, Jenny. And then she put a last verse on here, John 14:1-2. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you.
One last thing I want to say about Terry. There's one thing that one of these proverbs I didn't read, and I want to read it because it's so important. It's this: iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. That's what Terry and I were. We were there to sharpen each other, to get ourselves focused. But life got out of sorts as it does. And there's so few people in our life, I see a lot of people in here that are a little bit younger than me. But we live a long life, and we can count these true friends, these honest, true friends, probably on one hand. And Terry is one of those to every one of us. And it's a blessing. So.
Okay, to move on, we're going to have a short message from Wisconsin, from Terry's nephew, Troy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Troy Healing from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm Terry's nephew. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I certainly have some thoughts I wanted to share. They will pale in comparison to the life he lived, but just some things that I wanted to share. He lived, he loved, but his love for his wife requires a word not yet created. He marveled at Mary's passion and energy for life. She will forever be his everything. Terry's exit makes us sad and broken, but his legacy is that of love, joy, and laughter. Just a few fun Terryisms I think we all may have experienced. Number one, if you're eating out at a restaurant with him, brace for impact. He loved Maria's pizza, loved Leon's frozen custard, loves German potato salad, loves making you happy, loves sitting outside and smoking cigars, loves prayer, deep, deep prayer. Insists on real better, no fake stuff. Loves cars, loves his family, adores his friends, generous, deep, bellowing laugh, loved a great conversation, loved a good game, a good board game, excelled at them, smart, witty, and charming. His love, his life, his experiences, and his personality were as unique as a fingerprint. He was Terry. We loved him. He loved us more. Our pain is eased with his deep faith in God, knowing his soul rests in peace as he smiles over us. His wish, nay, his request for us is to pray, love, and laugh. And if you do those three things, and you ever find yourself in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, have some Marie's pizza and finish it with Leon's custard, Terry style, butter pecan, extra pecans. Thank you.
Okay, now we are going to have just a short clip. Song.
but most of all his wife Mary, for they knew how to love each other well. Through sunshine and through rain they stayed, devoted to the vows they made, and now that love lives on, hallelujah, hallelujah. Who could forget his laughing voice when we would gather and rejoice to celebrate a feast or holiday? He prayed with us, he dined with us, he laughed with us and cried with us, and now he says goodbye to us. Hallelujah, 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 He's with the saints and angels now in heaven where no cancer vows to claim his spirit. Peace reigns, hallelujah. Thank you for the life you lived, the ones you loved, the will to give, and thank you for the memories, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
Come now, Fount of every blessing, to my heart to sing thy way. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of boundless praise. Now thy vision, O Lord of my heart, not me all else to me, save that God. Teach me some melodious song, yeah, some by flaming tongues above, waking or sleeping, thy presence in my life. I need thee every hour, most gracious Lord. No tender voice like thine can please the How marvelous, how wonderful, and my song shall ever be. How marvelous, how wonderful is my Savior's love. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch was blind, but now this is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. I need thee, I need thee. Every hour I need thee. Oh, bless me now, my Savior. I come to thee. Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, it is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, O Lord. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. Early in the morning, our song shall rise. When I am down and oh, my soul is weary, when troubles come and my heart burdens, and I am still and wait here in silence till you come and sit one me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up for me sees. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be. This is my story. This is my song. Praising my Savior all the day long. I need thee, I need thee. Every hour I need thee. Oh, bless me now, my Savior. I come to thee. Here's my heart. Take and seal it for thy heart's above.
But before I read the gospel, which again, we've already crossed paths, the good Lord always has a plan. We don't have to do a plan. The good Lord always has a plan. Just like to give a little frame of reference. I want to take from Matthew, Mark, and Luke, who talk about the night before Jesus died. And again, we know that he celebrated the Passover. And during that mystery, he celebrated the traditions of the Jewish faith, the freedom from the Jewish people out of bondage. And but during that time he had gathered with his disciples, he took some bread and wine and instituted what we call the Eucharistic chapter, the lasting memorial that he would be with us. Now the disciples didn't know what was going on at that particular moment. Shifting gears to John's Gospel, we call it the last discourse, when Jesus gives his last will and testimony to his disciples, again gathered at this intimate meal. Jesus was a genius. He gathered people around food, bread and wine, simple components of the traditional meal. And he gathered his intimate friends with him. And St. John records what he does very different, because St. John doesn't have the institution narratives of Eucharist, but he has this last discourse. It's this last discourse, he turns around and after the meal is done, when Jesus takes off his outer garb and puts on a servant's towel, and he washes the feet of his disciples. Now, in those days, you could not force a slave to wash people's feet. That was something that was a code for the slaves themselves. But Jesus takes the position of a slave, washes his disciples' feet. When he's done, he says these words that Becky already read. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Have faith in God, have faith in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If there were not, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go prepare a place, I will return and take you to myself, so that where I am, you also. Now, what's interesting about this scripture, what we don't think about often, I don't, is the setting that Jesus knows he's going to die. His time has now come. Everything is in place. And what are his last words? They're to us. Do not let your hearts be troubled. That's because Terry is already taken care of. Terry's already in the divine presence. Has already come to completion. There was a time when Terry didn't exist. Not until what, February 23rd, 1940? but there will never be a time when it doesn't. What keeps us going, what keeps us all bound together, is what we're seeing here, the testimony of all I've heard. You folks have known Terry for a long time. I just moved to Terry twice in the last couple of days. And it's a wonderful life. Jimmy Stewart, right, 1943. It's a wonderful life. It doesn't get any better. But the binding fact of what we share in common is that simple word, but so complex, love. And what do we just want? A love manifested in so many words. A love for ice cream, a love for family, a love for wife, a love for the joys of all that God has given him, the creation and the beauty, bound together in innumerable friendships. I heard a radio telecast the other day as I was driving back and forth, something was on public radio. I think it's Ben Sass, the senator from Kansas, made a wrote a book. And what he's trying to grasp is we're changing so rapidly today. We can't keep up with it. No. And we know this. We're just trying to print out a little piece of paper last night, and it created like, wow, we have to get the universe together. Oh, we put an originator. Like, we can't keep up with this at our age, right? 7 years old, we've seen it all. But in his book, Ben is trying to accomplish something. And it's phenomenal because sociologists, psychologists are all trying to grasp it. Rapid changes for youth folks, their generation. One of the things he found that is so disturbing, he said that people today don't have friends. Their friends are on Facebook. I've got 552 friends. But you're sick and you need someone to take you to the doctor. Oof. This idea of self-sacrifice is another concern. No one is joining any organization. I complain, I'm trying to find young people, young adults in the Catholic Church, because I can't see where to go. They are out there in society, but nobody wants to come to church. Nobody sees the value. I've got too many. Ben Sass in his book captures some of these things. We don't have friends. The average generation, I don't know how you get these statistics, but back in my parents' generation, we know that they would get together 4 or 5 times a month with friends. Today, he says, if you're lucky, once. There are no lasting relationships. There are no commitments to the values that create community, that make friendship. And so I do a lot of funerals. St. Francis Cabrini has what we call the golden casket rule. We do more funerals at St. Francis Cabrini than any other parish in the diocese. So I've been to a lot of lives, but not lives like this. Not lives that carry what Jesus said, that intimacy, right? He's talking on an intimate basis with those disciples who he shared, as Bill shared, intimacy. As Jesus developed them into a band of disciples who not only take the message of this all-powerful, comprehensive, unimaginable love and bring it into a world, to transform the world. And we share it through what St. Paul would call the one body of Christ, through a Eucharistic celebration, through a common purpose, united in God's presence, which, again, that concept of a home, John's Gospel, going to prepare a place for a place where the bonds of love and friendship and well-being for one another don't end with our death. There's sadness. Perry is not with us. We miss the belly, that intimacy, the ability to have a friend that you can confide in today. We don't have that kind of friend. We didn't put a baseball cap on, we root for the Patriots. We have that kind of friend. When you talk about matters of the soul, substance of life, the demands that men and women go through, we have a soul, someone who understands. Not just because they're perfect, but because we're bound in a spirit of love. And faithful. And so certainly the idea of finding scripture, finding our way through the minefields of life, through the relationship challenges, through the disappointments, the vicissitudes of life, I don't know where people turn. I get the cards. I get the call saying suicide. I get the call saying, you know, we're having a trauma, we're irreconcilable conditions, and we can't get together. I get those calls. And often, too often, there's no prayer life, there's no reception, there's no ability to talk to someone. Terry was an inspiration. You all have your stories. You all have the ways that he touched you and made you at least a better person, inspired you to do good things, inspired you perhaps to laugh when you didn't feel like laughing, be able to lift up your spirit. That's the kind of love and friendship that we are called to give on, because we have been brought into our condition. A love that our Lord on his last night here said, don't let your hearts be troubled. There's a plan. It's a good plan. The plan for us now is to enjoy life, to love the many things that God has given us. Because when we count our blessings, we start to write them down. It's a long list. And to be thankful for it. So, my being invited into this moment is a cause for my joy and thanksgiving. To see a wonderful family, to see many friends, loved ones show up. Honor a man who indeed was worthy of the honor that we give. A true friend, a lover of God, a lover of his family. And that will be the source of our stories as we go forward and to enjoy life this day. Saddened by missing Terry's love and friendship, but confident that it's better that we all will be together because we all share that one great love.
To be shall I hunger, and to believe in me shall I thirst. No one can come to me unless the Father beckons, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day. I am the resurrection. I am the life. If you believe in me, even if you die, you shall live forever, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up on the last day, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up, and I will raise you up.
And now we're gonna invite anyone who has any stories to share. If they want to come up, and please do so. I'm sure we didn't exhaust it.
I'll start with a little short story. First day we met Terry, and as Bill said, he was a car boy. And we had many cars often. And we went to buy this station wagon and met Terry. He's the only salesman that I know ever in all the cars we ever bought that took money out of his own pocket and told us, go for lunch, go put gas in it, drive it all over all day long. And he gave us the money for that. I just never forgot.
Well, I just want to say that he had a lot of expectations. Yeah, everybody knew just what he thought, and he said, "Well, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want it to go. It needs to be nice for your mother, and you got to make this nice for your mother, the funeral service for your mother. And I want you to do a song." He gave me a song that was not appropriate to have. And I said, well, you know, that's about like a divorce. And he said, well, just change the words. You just make it work. You just do it, and I know you can do it. And I said, I'm not gonna. He's gonna be mad, but I'm not gonna do it. Well, as everyone knows, Terry will get his way one way or the other. And David showed up with a surprise song that he rewrote the words, and I said to Mom during his song, he got his way. That's not his way. So I just wanted to share.
Okay, I have to share a little one. And this is when Celia, our little Celia over here, was, and she probably doesn't even remember, but Terry was so giving. He always found a way to give whatever. And we were at Culver's, of course, and we looked over and there was a bus stop. And a lady was sitting out there, and he said, oh, the lady in that wheelchair is starting to rain. And he said, oh, she's sitting in the wheelchair. And he looked back at me and he said, do we still have that umbrella in the car? And I said, well, I think so. Well, we reached back and we got the umbrella and we jumped out, gave the lady the umbrella and jumped back in the car. And Celia said, well, Grampy, you don't even know that lady. How you can get your umbrella back? And he said, well, we're not. And she looked at me and said, are you okay with that? I said, oh, sure. So that was really a little story that I knew she probably didn't remember. She was so little. That was that.
Well, Terry was generous, but he was also hilarious. And he loved to pull pranks, as you know. So when he was a priest in St. John's and St. Joseph's, I was a youth minister or youth music minister. And we had the music up in the balcony, okay? And it was an older church. And anytime you took the steps up to the balcony, you could hear them creak, you know? So I was up there in my own little world, just singing my heart out. I was just rehearsing, okay? He took 20 minutes and crawled up those steps little by little, so I couldn't hear a crack on the thing, you know? He crawled all the way up to the piano. I can't believe it. And I knew Christy, I was just singing, okay? And he just taps me on the shoulder. I screamed like a girl. He clapped for 20 minutes.
I had only the joy of knowing Terry for a year. We were neighbors, we were brothers in Christ. And my last visit with him was a few weeks ago. Actually, about a month ago now. I fished quite a bit, and he said, I have a request. He said, I've never eaten a good fresh bass. Would you mind bringing one to me sometime? And I thought down that Mary was preparing it that evening. And he said, well, now how much do I owe you? And I said, well, one of two things, either $1,000 or a thank you. Of course, he had this beautiful smile. And he thanked me. And it seems like I've known him all my life. People have enjoyed it for a lot longer.
I thought you were gonna say you got his checkbook.
He would have.
I wish John would tell this story,
I couldn't. I'll break down.
but I know he won't. So I have to tell it because I
Thank
just
you.
heard the story a few weeks ago when John came. And John lived with Terry when he was young. And Terry was way up north, and it was near an Indian reservation. Tell me, shake your head if I'm saying the wrong thing. And there was a family, a very needy family that had nothing. And Terry had told John and several people that always ate at their house and came over, and they said, every Thursday, we are going to have peanut butter sandwiches. And we're gonna put money in an envelope, and we're going, at Christmas, we're gonna give this money to the family. Is that right, John?
Correct. Indian lady named Rosie.
And what?
Indian lady named Rosie.
Oh, an Indian lady named Rosie,
Six
and she has
kids.
several children. And I never, in 26 years, I had never heard this story. And so they saved their money every Thursday. They ate peanut butter, and they talked about saving money and what they were doing. But they weren't really supposed to talk about it or go out and tell anyone that this is what they were doing. It was something they wanted to do. And Christmas came, and he made them all go with him to Rosie's house and take this money. And John said, I will never ever forget how happy this made this lady. And I had never heard that story at all. And he was the most giving person, almost to a fault for his giving. But it is, some of the stories that I've heard are really, really unbelievable. So
Thank you, Mary.
that's
That's the final word. Yeah, but that kind of generosity, that kind of thought goes right to the core. And you can't fake it, you can't fake it. So I think the challenge that we face is not only keep the goodness, the generosity, the love, the life, going forward, pay it forward life. Because our lives have been much hairy. I think it's maybe we're just a little bit more aware of the good that he brought into our lives. Maybe we could laugh a little bit more. Maybe we could be more aware of other needs. Maybe Lord has said that He's prepared. Lord God, you are attentive to the voice of our plea. Let us find in your Son comfort in our sadness, certainty in our doubt, and courage to live through this hour. Make our faith strong through Christ our Lord. Amen. Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, that perpetual life. May he rest in peace. Amen. May the soul of all faithful departed to the mercy of God rest in peace. And the Lord be with you. May Almighty God bless you and keep you safe. Father, Amen. And we have an announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude the services here in the chapel for Terry. On behalf of the family, they wish to thank you for attending the services and visitation, the many flowers and acts of kindness shown to them at this time. On behalf of DeMarco Family Funeral Home, we ask that when you do leave, you be very careful when you do exit the property. The family would like to invite you to a luncheon in our dining area. We call it our gathering room. Terry's brother Mike and his wife Kim were unable to be with us today, and they have lovingly donated today's meal in honor of Terry. We hold them close in our hearts, and we thank them for their generous spirit. As the family has stated, there will be a luncheon provided right in the room next door. Please make sure you tell stories, you share some memories. And I would be very remiss if I did not thank David. Terry Sipdor. Oh, yeah. Just sparkler.
Good to win that one.
Keep walking, don't stop. We'll run right over. Please enjoy. There's sandwiches, there's.
They probably did it for the house. Do you want to go back over here and sit?
Yeah, I don't care, wherever. I suppose, I don't know.
Share out whenever she was like, okay, I'm gonna go out and get out of the way.
It was nice.
Been around a while.
Not the ones that's much, Oh.
You know what? I didn't see you coming. I got worried. That all of a sudden.
Where can I?
No, ma'am. Upstate New York.
Yes, there's some in upstate New York that are related to me. So, where can we put, where would you like to leave? Where do you want to sit? Where do you think? All right, well, let's go on.
I know,
They're working out. It's okay. Oh, come on now. You want to go that way? What's that? That's how you ever solve
Drinks way over there by the wall.
Sorry. Yeah. And she's like 100 pounds. I know.
Oh, didn't you? No, and I see you. I'm Maria.
I'm Debbie.
Nice to meet you.
Marie.
Okay.
So you're staying here?
In his house. Yeah, in his house, yeah. For having running. We're going on a cruise.
And then they're going back to the
Yes, you will. There you go. Looks like interesting.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I was from Newburgh, up by Washington. Yeah.
Part of the Brotherhood Winery.
I never did it. I used to run there. I still have it last from here. It's actually wine glass.
Very many years.
The Brian
The perfect time for us to go. We had around 99.
Hold on.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.